already won Ulysses. There it is.
Hello BookTube, I'm Sean the Book Maniac. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have another book review for you. This is a book I read 4 or 5 months ago, a 2017 debut, probably going to end up being one of my top reads of the year. This is Gabe Habash's debut, and he is Julie Buntin's husband. You may know her debut novel, also from this year, Marlena. So they are a literary power couple. Stephen Florida by Gabe Habash. This is a novel about a macho stud on a wrestling scholarship at a North Dakota college. Before you change the channel, let me hasten to add that I hate sports passionately. All sports, any sports, playing, watching. I pride myself on never having watched a televised sports event from beginning to end in my life. And don't even get me started on the Olympics, but I hate sports. And I love this book. So please let me explain further. This young buck, Stephen Florida, is single-minded in attaining a wrestling championship. He's really a top-notch wrestler, and he gives up almost everything else in his life to be the best. His parents died tragically when he was a teenager. I think he's now barely out of his teens. He might be 19 or 20. He is emotionally stunted, prone to bizarre, mildly frightening behavior. Because he's such a physically powerful young man, I was frightened about what he was going to do next, and the author, Gabe Habash, played with that tension throughout the novel. Stephen is cocky, he's curious, has trouble forming human connections, but he has one close friend at a fellow wrestler, Linus, and he becomes very enamored of another classmate, Mary Beth. They both end up putting distance between them and Stephen Florida because of his bizarre behavior, but you, the reader, won't. Stephen Florida is enigmatic, and for all of his emotional stuntedness, he is very expressive on the page and has such a quirky way of looking at life and expressing his desires, his ambition, and his emotions that I couldn't put the book down. It was just fascinating. So beneath all of the bravado, there's a beautiful heart there that I kept trying to grab hold of through all of the weird behavior. I was so deeply invested in him. And sometimes I was just on the edge of my seat. What is he going to do? Where is this going? Is this going to get really scary? Holding my breath. Beyond its innate homoerotic potential, wrestling is not something that I'm interested in. But the writing about the actual wrestling matches and practices was beautiful and fascinating. But mainly this is a really rich character study of a strange dude who ends up worming his way into the reader's heart. So let me share, I think the best way to help you decide whether this might be a book for you is to share maybe a half dozen very short quotes. These are all in his voice. He's the narrator. First one. It is psychologically healthy every now and then to experience something you don't tell anyone, that you don't let out for any reason, that's only yours. But perhaps I'm doing this too often. Next one. I have wondered dozens of times whether I have a special skill at turning the people I come across in my life into ghosts, into glass, temporary figures. I wonder sometimes if that's my backup talent. Maybe someday one of them will look me up. This is a lovely passage about the girl that he is interested in, Mary Beth. Sometimes you need to tell a story about something that happened to you, 10 times or 100, only to get it off your back, to clear it out. But this particular story I needed to tell just once, because when I told it to Mary Beth, she just nodded and forgot it, which is why I told her. To her, it was just something that had happened. A few minutes later, I heard her laugh, and my stomach fell open. Like that. Next, I say yes, or something. My kneecap tingles, warbles up like a nose just before the sneeze arrives. Another one about the girl, Mary Beth. Her eyes were brown, and I'm not trying to be an uppity poet when I say that the world shortly became more than a freezing ice ball, which is what I always thought it was, and so I said, wow. And the final quote is about the wrestling. I tug up the shoulder straps of my singlet. I tug them up over my head so they X across my back, and then I pull. I pull until my head turns red in the bad light of the room, and my sweat shines, and as though a slide is inserted over my eyes, I don't know how long it takes me to realize that I'm making noise, forcing all the blood out of my head until I'm just a white pusticle on top. I'm inside something deep, scooping through the lowest guts of the whale. So I think Gabe Habash is a wonderful writer, and he made me deeply attracted to this Stephen Florida guy and root for him and adore him. Lots of reviews talk about how this is a very deep exploration of masculinity and intimacy and sexuality, and it is all those. There's even a lovely throb of queer sexual energy in the story that I really appreciated. But what touched me in the deepest place was just the characterization of this guy. Gabe Habash wrestled him up off the page and made him a three-dimensional figure. Oh my god, have I been talking over there the whole time? And has created a really enigmatic character that, please excuse the pun, but I can't resist. He has created a really enigmatic protagonist that is impossible to pin down. Please check this novel out if you're interested and let me know what you think. Have you read it? I'd be interested to hear any feedback. It's not a novel I've seen a lot about on BookTube, so anyway, that's my review. Thanks for stopping by.